Hello, and welcome to season 4 of the State of Healthcare podcast. I can't believe it's actually season 4. I feel like we've just gotten started, and to be honest, we are just barely scratching the surface of so many issues in healthcare, or just even things that I feel like people should know about. This season, we are talking about autoimmune disorders, the not so hidden epidemic. For so long, these have been labeled a diagnosis as exclusion, right? So many people were seen as crazy, or they just, were whining about these things that people were like, oh, just push through it. But I feel like now we are starting to realize that so many more people have this, whether we're better at diagnosing or more people are having these particular disorders occurring. It could be a combo. That's what we're going to discuss and try to look into this season. So if you've ever felt like you have this cluster of symptoms, or you don't know what's going on, or you feel like your body is even fighting itself, feel free to tune in. This is kind of a learning process. It's learning how to modulate your flares, learning what that is, where can you get help. So come with me on this journey. Autoimmune disorders, the not so hidden epidemic. Hi, and welcome back to the State of Healthcare. We are recording an episode today with Dr. Sophia Murphy. So I'm actually going to let you introduce yourself and just sort of talk about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Dr. Sophia Murphy. I'm a licensed professional counselor here in Arizona. I have been in private practice for 11 years, which feels wild to say. This is my 17th year doing direct practice as a therapist.
Okay.
And really my whole, I think, purpose of being on this planet has been to create a space where people can learn to better understand themselves, where they can ask some hard questions that maybe they've never been able to ask before. And really, eventually, I hope create the life that feels the most authentic to who they are, even if other people don't love it, and really navigate what that means for them and their lives. So, yeah.
Do you have so that you 11 years in private practice?
Yeah.
So then you worked somewhere before.
Yes. So I worked in kind of the traditional community mental health settings. I think we all kind of earn our stripes in therapy through boots on the ground, really large caseloads. And I really did love that. I learned a lot. And it's very near and dear to my heart, especially making sure that all people have access to therapy. And so one of the reasons I went into private practice was really to try to take my own self-care into account and give myself a schedule that I could manage. But I also always wanted to create a team where we could support each other as therapists, continue to grow as therapists, staff cases, get consultation. And my hope is that even though it's a private practice setting, a lot of people with different backgrounds and different economic status can still access care. So I've various levels of providers. I typically every year take on a master's level intern, and I try to keep my fees as accessible as possible.
Okay, so explain with me, do you take insurance? You don't take insurance? How does it work for you?
Yeah, so both. There are, I'm going to go blank on the numbers on the top of my head. There's 4 or 5 of us that take insurance. So again, really grappled over the years of taking insurance or not, because that can be challenging. And I think one of the things I've settled on is so many people, pay for insurance through their employers and really want to be able to use that. And so I've tried to have kind of those different pathways in the practice. So a group of us take insurance. Then I have some individually licensed people who've opted not to. And so they do cash pay. And then I have that master's level intern. We keep the rate very low, cash only, because she couldn't take insurance anyway. But just $50 to work with her for a session. And then she gets supervision and a lot of oversight. So I always look at that as like a great opportunity. I tell people you get 2 therapists for the price of 1.
Yeah,
but you still get to come into that, again, setting where it feels hopefully very welcoming and warm, and work with someone who's still very skilled, but early on in their journey.
I am going to apologize. Of course, when I start recording, my cat's like, I'm going to sing the song.
I love it. People wants people to know I miss them too.
Yeah. And so I was like, okay, so apologies on that one. And but no, so you have created a group of people to come together, and do you guys do consultate? Do you guys have a sit down and kind of hang on. What? Kitty, you're fine. Do you guys come together and then like discuss cases, or how does that work in the group setting then?
Yeah, so several of the people on the team are under supervision. So in the state of Arizona, there are different levels of licensure. So I always tell people who are community members looking for therapists, like it's a lot of letters to learn what everybody's letters mean.
Right.
We have what's called an associate level license. So that means they've completed their master's program, they've completed their internship, they've completed their national exam, and they receive their first license. And so those clinicians do meet with me once a week for individual supervision. And we talk about what they're working on, what they're hearing in session. And then as a group, we do group supervision as well. And so we range from presenting a case and consultation and getting support to didactic topics. So like just really important information for us to have. Try to bring in outside presenters too. So we get additional training on everything from medication management. We work really closely with different providers in the Valley and learn about even just like primary care and things we need to be thinking about, and how to refer and make sure that our patients are also taking care of their physical health and not separating the mental health from that. So we're really able to lean on each other and get additional perspectives and make sure that we're all still holding ourselves to a high standard as therapists.
Are you the one coordinating all of that?
Yeah, I do all the scheduling.
Okay. I was like, wow. I'm actually really impressed because, to be honest, I've always liked having where, not even maybe multidisciplinary, but where like practitioners can actually join together and have conversations or bounce ideas off.
Same.
Or, you know, be able to like have that, or like where there's continuing ed, right?
Same.
And like that.
Very important to me.
That's very impressive. But I wanted to circle back where you were talking about a place where people can be their authentic self or even discover that. So like, I guess talk to me a little bit about that. Like,
yeah, so that's always been really important to me too. And I did my undergrad in the South, and it has its own pros and cons. And I think one of the things that always really spoke to me was even though there is diversity, there was not a lot of open conversation around diversity. And especially because I'm older, we didn't really ever talk about anybody's like sexual orientation. And it wasn't just a thing that was very like welcome in dialogue. And so I moved to California and did my master's in San Francisco. So it was like the other extreme. And I loved that. And I felt so at home and having all of these conversations, even when they're hard. And even in my master's program, we were really pushed to have conversations around diversity and culture. And when someone says XYZ, how do you feel about that? Like, does it bother you? Do you like it? Do you not like it? And then when I moved here and did my doctorate, it was not quite as extreme as it was in the South, but it was different than California. And I was noticing as a therapist, even trying to consult on some cases, I'll never forget, I was working with this woman who was a lesbian and married to a woman. And I was trying to get some consultation, and this other therapist said to me, well, all of her problems are because she's gay. And I was like, oh wow, people really are still thinking that way. And that's a reality. You know, people are trying to get care. And then they encounter a therapist who's pathologizing whatever they're working on because of their culture or whatever intersection they live in. And that broke my heart. And so I was thinking, like, how do patients who maybe their sexuality isn't the topic, but it's absolutely a part of who they are, get safe therapy
without feeling discrimination or somebody judging based on it?
Absolutely. And so what I really wanted to guide me was, yes, it's relevant. It's definitely not the problem. And so I wanted to create a space where come and talk about all of your intersections, and we will absolutely explore how that impacts your life and how others perceiving you impacts your life. But I wanted us to take that systemic perspective of maybe you feel depressed living as a trans person, but not because you're trans, but because the community has been built to not support you as a trans person or to discriminate against you. But that's not the cause of your problems. The way you're perceived is the cause of the problem. And that has really just become like my grounding factor was, let's honor all of your identities so that you are not adding on to the shame. You're not adding on to like, I'm the problem. So then we can actually get to the root and start working through whatever it is you want to work on.
Now, how are people finding you? Just out of curiosity, like,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of networking. So I try to connect with other amazing providers like yourself. And I think at this point, being in the Valley for a long time, I'd like to think that I've built up a reputation and had therapists come and graduated, move on, and that people know like maybe if they get a referral and it's just a different kind of presenting family member, presenting identity. We do a lot of work with poly and kink people, and there aren't a lot of therapists who have that training or understanding or cultural humility. And so I think a lot of times it's from other providers. They're like, hey, I have a throuple and I don't know really how to work with that. Do you guys have space? And it's like, come on over. Absolutely, we do. And then we do have relationships with some amazing psychiatric providers in the Valley who refer to us. And then, I mean, we're online.
Well, and again, because I love connecting, and again, maybe sometimes it's what you put out there, right? So for me, I want physical therapy to feel like a safe space.
Of course.
Do patients be like, I think you're judging me because I didn't do my homework? Maybe, but like I want them to feel like it's a very safe space.
Yeah.
So I do feel like on some level that allows me to connect with providers who also like to create safe spaces.
Agreed.
Like I have amazing people that do pelvic floor work. And definitely means just like that I can refer to, but I definitely need to have a safe space. So it's also nice to have someone who like, whether like whatever you're dealing with from a mental health perspective, where it's that safe space. Because again, I've had also patients tell me stories of where they've had to fire their mental health provider because it was definitely not a safe space.
100%. And I think sadly that is just a thing that happens. And I do think, priding yourself on being that safe space helps you find other providers where you can enhance that network and say like, I really recommend you seeing this provider because I trust them.
Right.
And I know what they stand for and what they're about.
Yeah. So, and we chatted, we about some things that you actually have a surprising amount of men that you work with, right?
Yes. And so it's been so interesting because I owned kind of my own bias and I was going through grad school. I was like, I'm only going to work with women. And, I'm a feminist therapist and I want to work with women. And I really think as I've grown and evolved as in my own journey of like being a feminist therapist is wanting everyone to have access to these things, right? And not just this like gendered idea of I can only work with women. And so I've been blessed to kind of end up in some new spaces that I had never really planned on and working with athletes. And I now have a predominantly male caseload of these elite athletes. And I've just absolutely fallen in love with it because I've seen it as this opportunity to work with these young men who want to break some of these patterns in their families and want to maybe themselves really buck up against toxic masculinity and expectations placed on them because they're men and they just aren't that type of guy. And so it's been so wonderful and fulfilling to have these conversations where it's like, let's talk about it. Like you've been kind of put in this box or told you have to be a certain type of way, or maybe even your friends are saying that, your peers, and you just like, it doesn't fit for you. So like, even in that case, like, what does it look like to be an authentic man in your way that you really want to embody and decide for yourself? Yeah.
Well, and it's also interesting because I think sometimes again, when we start to create a space, right? So you're like, I want a space that's going to be accepting. And then you're like, oh, I didn't know it was going to take this direction, right? But you are creating that. And and we had chatted a little bit about just how like, again, like for me, same thing for PT, for the most part, let's work on whatever. I don't care how you hurt yourself. Like, let's figure it out. Let's do our thing. But now you're creating this space for, and so I just find it interesting just how like life takes those pathways.
Oh, absolutely. I love that I never planned on this and it's now one of my absolute favorite things I get to do.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, okay.
And whoops, maybe I wasn't being as inclusive and open as I could have been earlier. And I've learned from that. And now I've
challenging our own
challenged myself. Yes, for sure.
And then for your team, now, what influenced you, or how did you find your team members? You don't have to be like, I found everybody like,
sure.
Like, how were you looking to build? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah, so ironically, it really stemmed from I was working in the academic space. And when you're working as a professor or an instructor, you just get your students, you don't get to choose. And that had lots of pros and cons as well. And just with like going through COVID and some different things happening, I was really realizing like I love the mentor hat and I love the supervisor hat. And I never really thought about bringing that into private practice.
Okay.
I'd only been able to do that in another setting. And so with some mentorship from another professional, we had a conversation about like, what if you became an internship site? And that opened the door to having conversations of like, well, what if I actually supervise in private practice as opposed to only being a supervisor at a larger setting?
Right.
And so I kind of just started putting feelers out there. Like if you are an associate licensed therapist and you're under supervision, I'm taking on supervisees in this setting. You know, and like this is my baby, this is what I built. And I have so much experience as a supervisor. I want to build it in this space. And so it was really just kind of like hiring, finding a good fit. And from there, I've, you know, again, people have finished their licensure, they've moved on. And I've got new people to come on. And so it really has been looking for a team of therapists who want that growth and that collaboration. And sometimes it's word of mouth. Like, hey, I knew someone who worked here, they really liked it, and I just graduated. Now I'm in that space. I'm eligible. Are you hiring? And it's really grown into a group of people that really want that type of, again, like safe space, even as the therapist.
So for the pod, like, tell everybody the name of your business and like how to find you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's Healthy Synergy. We're actually not far. We're located just at Baseline and Mill in Tempe. We offer in-office therapy. We also offer virtual services anywhere in the state of Arizona. So you can find us online at createhealthysynergy.com. On Instagram, it's just under me, Dr. Sophia Murphy.
And again, when we put this up, we tag all those things.
Love it.
So, but I just want like if they again for people to find a safe space.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Where they do have insurance or non-insurance office.
Yes, we have options.
So, so speaking of like again, state of healthcare, when you talk about this stuff, what trends have you I mean, again, obviously you're seeing a lot of men confronting certain things. What other sort of trends have you noticed of people seeking care for, or because I don't know, did you get a lot of stuff from COVID? I feel like from that, I felt like I saw a lot more of like
Yes,
and
100%.
so I was just curious what sort of trends you've been seeing.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we go back to COVID kind of till now, the biggest sort of shift that I've seen is a little bit of like two branches of the same tree. So I'm really struggling, but other people are struggling more. So I should be okay, but I'm not okay. So there was this interesting thing, like when COVID was happening, you know, some people really liked being at home. And then they would still almost feel like guilt and shame that they were upset about something going on, even though like someone else had died. It was like they weren't allowed to feel their feelings because it was this comparison that was getting activated of like, yeah, stuff's bad, but it's not as bad for me as it is for other people. And so with that, I think kind of in the sustained trauma that we've been through of COVID into just like current events and like government trauma that we're living through, it's sort of re-showing up or reappearing in that similar vein of like, my family's okay, or I'm okay, but I'm so distraught about what's on the news and what's happening. And like, I shouldn't be upset because like my person didn't, you know, get XYZ or shot in the street. So like, why am I so stressed? And so it's been this really interesting, repetitive conversation of like, yes, we can't live in that distress 24/7. Like, yes, we need to figure out like what's in our control and how we can make change. And also, it's okay to just be really sad or scared or disappointed in everything that's happening right now. Like, wherever you're in this puzzle piece, you're still affected by it. And your struggle is no less valid just because you're not in the same level of distress or maybe even like actual danger as someone else.
And I almost think that on a level, as weird as it sounds, if more people address that it's okay to be upset, I think so many of us are just trying to survive. And we're just cruising along, surviving, And so a lot of the therapy, like again, I deal with injuries and whatever, but stress is a major factor. That leads to flare-ups in like autoimmune, to flare-ups in other injuries, leads to the way people hold their body posture. And so, and it can contribute to a lot of health issues that I see.
Definitely.
And so I think that for me, I think that people feel like they have to operate because they're surviving.
Yes.
But they're just like in this. So I feel like on a level of people, we're addressing it more.
Yes.
If more people were addressing it, maybe we'd all be having a conversation, and then there'd be less of just like the anger, and then just like I just see so much more conflict.
Yeah.
Even just trying to drive somewhere.
Absolutely. To me, I've been using this kind of terminology a lot lately, is I just feel this almost like tension building and almost like this powder keg, because we're like trying to survive, or maybe even we've evolved to now we're just like trying to act like it's fine, or not address it at all, and we're just like stuffing, suppressing, and then someone cuts you off, and then it loses their mind, and it's like a domino effect.
And you're like, what do you mean? I just like went to the
right, like it's not that serious,
right?
Like, that's just the the steam coming out from
the
all
final
the things.
straw, the thing.
Absolutely. And so I really agree with you that I think the conversation I'm having, even with my own, other therapists on the team, with myself, and in session, is like, you kind of gotta let yourself feel what you're feeling right now, because unfortunately I don't see an end right in this moment. And where are we going to keep stuffing all this?
Right.
Like it has nowhere to go if we keep avoiding the upset and the distress. And just even in a session, I think it was like a week ago, talking about like, just, okay, what's the worst case scenario? You get upset, you cry, you feel really distraught, and like, and I bet, maybe in an hour or in a day, you'll talk to someone, they'll say something really funny, and then you'll laugh.
Right.
Like you'll feel both.
Yeah.
And I think that's a main message I've been trying to reiterate is, yes, it's sad. Yes, it's scary. And you're allowed to feel that. And like, you're going to have a moment where like something just cracks you up.
Right.
And for that moment, it's really funny. And like, you're really in it. And then maybe you get a news alert on your phone, and then you just feel that
you go right back to that
stuff come back over you. And like, all of that's true.
You just sort of feel like we never really got a break.
No.
Right. Of like, like world in crisis.
Yes.
Not knowing what's happening, people scared, health crisis, people dying. And it's just, and so again, you're trying to find the happy things. We're trying to do this. Like, but I do feel like for people, it's okay to acknowledge, like, we're juggling a lot. Like, even for me, for my therapy patients, a lot of times, or just from the physical therapy side of it, I'm like, sometimes I have to just be like, you're juggling a lot.
Yes.
So let's do what we can. And
absolutely. So, I don't think we give ourselves enough credit to just call it like it is.
Yeah. And sometimes it's interesting for me, it's just even when I'll be like, okay, well, take me through your week. And if someone lists out, because of course I'm looking for like what stressors did this, or what caused the shoulder issue, or how we did that. And they just list out their week, and I'm like, I'm stressed. And I didn't even live through it. I just listened to it, and I'm like, I'm stressed out right now.
100%.
And so sometimes I think, again, people don't always realize to take the time for like what you provide, or just to be able to have that moment to be like, to acknowledge that it's okay. So it's not me just all promoting like everyone go to therapy, but like at the same time, again, just kind of what I keep seeing, and it just even in the world for myself, sometimes I have to pause and be like, it's okay. Then I'm like, right, before I take it out on the next person who cuts me off on the street or whatever,
100%. I think a lot too of like, and I say this to people, it's like therapy is just one option among many. So it's not necessarily that everyone needs to go to therapy, even though I would love everyone to go to therapy, just because I think everyone deserves a space to just get it out and be accepted. At the end of the day, even if you just are willing to like call a friend and say like, hey, I'm actually not doing great, instead of the, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? I'm fine. And we just keep it pushing. You could call someone and say like, hey, I'm actually maybe not fine.
Right.
Like I'm really struggling today, or I'm like snapping at everybody, or like, I don't even necessarily know. I just know I'm not okay.
Right.
And that be normalized and that be welcome. I just picture like a domino effect of like, again, then maybe we start talking about something and you say something hilarious and I'm laughing. Before I made the phone call, I felt like the world was ending. I wish we gave ourselves that opportunity to just go with what's happening, because it does ebb and flow.
Right.
And I didn't come up with this term, but I'm a huge Brene Brown fan. And she talks about the idea of selectively numbing your feelings, and how we think we can just shut down the anger, the sadness, the fear, the distress, the disappointment, and somehow still feel joy and gratitude. And the reality is you don't get to selectively numb.
Uh-huh.
So the more you push down the sadness or the anger or the distress, you're actually numbing
Mm-hmm.
the joy and the gratitude and the love in your other spaces. And so I talk about that a lot, is like, it feels crappy
Mm-hmm.
to feel crappy.
Right.
And it's amazing when you open the floodgates of all the beautiful things you'll start feeling too.
I just, when you were, did you ever see the movie Inside Out?
Yes.
When you were
Gosh, I'm
picturing,
obsessed.
I was like,
Them.
I would assume, but never, but I just let that they wanted to pretend like sadness wasn't there.
Wasn't there. They're always like pushing her over the corner.
But the memories were like this, when she saw it through the sadness,
Yes,
was what brought the joy. And again, it's
absolutely.
always like, we don't know how great we feel until we get sick, or we don't
Right.
appreciate, and again, nobody wants to go through that. We all want to be happy. We want to have no injuries. We want to have no sad. Again, because of where we picture, but it's something we don't appreciate.
No.
So again, of course, I love everybody just to do prevention and not need, whatever. And they just do PT for prevention. But but again, sometimes also injuries teach lessons
Absolutely.
that maybe save you down the line.
I think that's a wonderful way to put it. And I would even think of that from a mental health perspective, is like, if you're struggling,
Mm-hmm.
maybe this doesn't apply as much to the broader situation because a lot of it's out of our control, and
Right.
there's smaller microsystems and spaces. Like, if something didn't go well, or you didn't get that job, or maybe you failed at a task or a relationship ended, like, you could still learn something from that injury and from that pain. And it doesn't make it not hurt.
Right.
It just helps us interact with the hurt in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the other theme, is I'm having so many conversations, like, instead of avoiding the anxiety or avoiding the disappointment, like, what if we interacted with it? What if we actually like turned around and looked at it and talked to it and like got curious and tried to be less judgmental, especially on ourselves?
Right.
Like, it's so interesting to me when people feel bad and then they feel bad for feeling bad.
Yes.
And so now it's this like extra fun layer.
Now you're in a cycle of
like I'm already struggling, and then I'm beating myself up for struggling and wondering, why aren't I happy?
Right. And you're in this little like,
yes.
But it is so interesting because at the time, like, again, I of course I recognize I want to do everything perfect the first time, right? I'm like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna be amazing. And I'm like,
Yeah.
And then again, it's that cheesiness of like, oh, I failed at this. And then I realized at that time, had I gotten that, it wouldn't have been right for me. And it sucked, but when you can look back and be like, oh, it's good that this didn't happen.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have, like, I even had an experience where something I got rejected from, and I was like, oh, soul crushing, right? But then I looked and I wouldn't have been able to be my authentic self to get that.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
And so it was better it was rejected,
Yeah.
so that later when I had an opportunity, I could actually be who I am.
Yeah.
To do it. And I would have had to try to fit into a box that wasn't me to do that.
It's so wild to me that you said this, because I just had a conversation yesterday with a colleague where he had gone for this opportunity and he didn't get it. And so he just wanted to talk through with like again, another therapist, like he's a therapist, and just kind of get my perspective. And at the end of our entire conversation, what we landed on was, he was like, as much as I'm disappointed it didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, I think I wouldn't have been able to be myself and be right for that opportunity. At least not right now. And it was a lot about like, I don't want to sacrifice that. So I'm allowed to feel disappointed that it didn't work. And also, like, what I'm learning is, I think I rather really be myself and find the opportunity that is going to work for him as well.
Right.
I mean, he literally almost said exactly what you just said.
Right. And at the time you're like, nobody wants to be rejected, right?
It's not, it sucks. It hurts.
Yeah. But I was also like, oh, but I wouldn't have been able to be me.
Yeah. And I think about that a lot, of like, I'm willing to sacrifice some things, right? Like sometimes we have to, maneuver our time or even our energy. And at the end of the day, I think for myself as a person, and what I talk about with people a lot, is how much are you willing to sacrifice you?
Right.
Because that's the part you can't get back.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know that I'm really willing to sacrifice myself for anything at this point, because that cost is just so great.
Right. And that was one of those things where at the time I was like, damn, but I felt like the universe was like, no.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Just own yourself later. And I'm like, cool. Thanks for stepping in.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for the reminder.
Right. Bringing it back to kind of, if you could, again, it's a generic advice thing, but like, if you could give any advice to people out there. I mean, aside from obviously staying authentic, or again, I like the idea of calling a friend, or just,
Yeah.
I think if COVID taught anything, it was kind of a little bit about the importance that we stay home, but we need connection,
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
So whether it was Zoom or something, we do need to be connected because
Yeah.
there was just so much like, again, I don't know how much of that you dealt with, but even from a PT perspective, right? Again, like, because we were, physical therapy is a lot in people's business. And,
Yeah.
and like at the time, a lot of the population I was working with was older people who were like the ones that were kind of targeted where this really affected them.
Yeah.
But a lot of them were like, they would get, so we did a lot of just phone calls to them to make sure they were still okay. So they knew someone like cared.
Yep.
So I didn't know if you had any like other advice or gems or just things that, you're like, oh, I like to tell this with clients or.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great question. I think my brain, there's kind of, again, two things that I think come up most often that I go to is that you don't have to do it by yourself. I think, especially when I'm speaking to like my male patient groups, there is so much ingrained, like I should just be able to figure this out. I think, like the standard, it's like it's weak to be vulnerable, it's weak to let someone know again, you're not okay. So challenging that of just really like you don't have to do it alone. And maybe you don't want to call someone and dump everything you're going through right now. Like that's okay too, but you could still call them.
Right. And connect.
And talk about something else, right? And just remind yourself that like somebody else cares about you and you're not alone in whatever's happening.
Right.
And maybe that's one step towards telling someone what's really going on. But just that kind of like gentle reminder, like you don't have to do everything by yourself. That's a big one. And then the other one that isn't mine. It's from Ted Lasso, and I think it
is perfect.
Such sage advice is like, how can we stay curious instead of judgmental?
Okay.
So with ourselves and with others, is like we're so good at I know what this means, or I know what he meant or she meant or they meant, and again we're so quick to like label ourselves like I'm just being lazy or whatever it is.
Right.
And I think just the pause of like how can I go to a place of curiosity instead of instant judgment shifts a lot of things.
Right.
I may not still get the answer I was hoping for just by being curious, and it's one less way to beat myself up or beat somebody else up.
No, and that's smart too, because again, sometimes where like when I'm like, I have to pull back and be like, I don't know what this person's been going through.
Yeah. What else could be true?
Yeah. They could just be an asshole.
Sure.
However, like maybe they've had the shittiest day ever and I'm now contributing to it where I can turn it around and, be the person who smiles or just lets it go or whatever.
Just doesn't add to it. If
yeah. I may not solve it, but I might just whatever. But again, it's hard. Because again, I do feel like we are in a world of just like continuous hits all day. And then you can doom scroll and you can, stress out about it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely. It's so easy to go that way. And I think even just in your example of like someone telling you they're weak and you validating back, like that's a lot. I think even with ourselves, like I use that lazy example because I hear that in session all the time of like, oh, I just need your help. I need to be more productive. I'm being lazy. It's like, well, let's be curious.
Yeah.
Like, let's take a step back. Talk to me through like,
just walk me through your week.
Exactly. And then I'm like, wow, what did you hear in there that was unproductive or lazy when you really stop judging it and labeling it and get curious and say, maybe I'm just tired.
Yeah.
And I think I shouldn't be tired. So I'm instantly taking myself to this place of like, I'm just being lazy. And I think it is really powerful to, as hard as it is, to like slow down and even maybe ask yourself a gentle question of like, maybe what is my body even trying to tell me? Or like, what's the anxiety of the inside out? Like, what's the anxiety communicating to me?
Right.
And just try to like wonder instead of no, I'm doing it wrong.
Well, and it's so interesting because again, I know that I feel like I'm on my patients a lot where I'm always like self-care and this and that, and because I think that we have such a mentality of pushing ourselves constantly.
Same.
That it's perceived as lazy if you take a rest day, if you spend that day doing mobility work or you do your PT exercises or, when you're not doing it 110%, that we perceive it as lazy or we can't quiet the stuff in our brain because we're like, I need to be here and there's 20 million things I need to do. And so that's why I always feel like I'm like, but do the self-care, because it's not lazy. It's for the long-term benefit, which again, I also have to remember the same lesson for myself, right? Because I'm like, I'm going to do 50 things, right? We were discussing that I'm like up to the minute. I schedule my world.
And I relate deeply.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. But then there's times I'm like, no, I'm going to take this, like, say someone cancels and I'm like, well, this hour is my time doing these self-care things where I could do 50 things on the computer instead or whatever. But no, I'm going to go roll out my sore parts. I'm going to do self-care for me. Yeah. I'm going to take a 15-minute power nap, and not feel bad about it.
Yes. And I think that I can't say that's the goal. I guess I could just say I have a similar goal. I feel very related and empathetic to that statement because it resonates with me. It's like, it's so easy to get sucked into that standard. And to me, the standard is just really damaging. Like just because it is the standard doesn't make it a good standard or a sustainable standard or even a safe standard.
Yeah.
And I think part of what I've also tried to root myself in, and I think as a practice as well, is I'm trying to help people decolonize from this idea of one right way.
Okay.
Like colonization is very real, oppression is very real, and our very like Eurocentric Western ideal is very real. Just because they're real and we exist alongside those doesn't make them the end all be all of options. And I think that's a valuable conversation to have too, is like, sure, I guess we could say like there's a definition of being productive. Just because that's the definition we know, that's not the only definition or the right way to be. And I think it's productive to take a break.
Yeah.
Right. Like if you think about it as like an investment into yourself, like how could that not be productive or valuable? We just don't talk about that on a larger cultural level as a thing we value. And I like that distinction.
Right. Well, and it's so funny when you were saying these things, I was picturing like as cheesy as it is, every Hallmark movie where, it almost makes like, again, whatever values of whatever it's pushing, but it also always kind of shows like the person coming from the city with their 50 million things. And then they have to learn how to like be in the country town where
right. Yeah.
But also to learn to be happy and to not have, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so they are so productive. You see the people like working hard and like whether it's saving the reindeer farm or whatever, there's always some montage where they definitely work really hard. So it's just productive in a different way. And sometimes we don't always, we are like so like that measurement standard. I watched some documentary about like where some town in Italy where like most people live to like 100 or something.
Oh wow.
And you know what? And they aren't 24/7 working. Like they get up, but they're active and whatever you can.
They're engaged. They're living their lives.
They're still doing stuff, but they have their siesta. They stroll down here. They walk. They're walking. Again, they have all this stuff. So again, there's just many lifestyle comments, but they are also productive in their own way.
Yeah.
But, like, they're happily living to 100 plus. Having their glass of wine in the morning and hand making their pasta.
And I love that.
And I'm like.
Well, it is fascinating. And I think this is part of a conversation we have in therapy a lot is like when you actually take a step back and look at the data also shows that like our lifestyle isn't working.
Right.
Like over and over, whenever it's measured against like, other countries, we're very low on the totem pole, right? Like our physical health is not great. Our mental health is not great. Our quality of life as we report it is very low. Yet we seem so married to doing what we've always been doing. So I think there's a lot of freedom and people just, again, being allowed to ask, like, just because I've done this way forever, is it actually working?
Right.
And if the answer is no, as scary as it is to do it differently,
you
are allowed to do it differently. And I love having those dialogues with people about like, of course it's going to feel weird. Or you're going to think maybe you're doing it wrong. And if you have all this evidence that this other way is costing me so much, it's a risk.
Yeah.
And we already know this isn't going well.
Right.
So what if we shift something and you give yourself that 15-minute nap exactly, you turn down this one thing or you decide I'm just going to not be on my computer for a day. Let's just see.
Right.
Let's just see.
It's interesting because I was watching it was like some Amazon TV show or whatever. And the one guy, he had this whole lifestyle planned out where he was like this really, good basketball player, but then he hurt his knee, right? So now he's in this town managing his family's hotel, and you know, the girl, of course, it's the girl he's supposed to match with, why we're staying in there with him, and but she's this high-powered lawyer who's like always working, and like doing this stuff, and she comes into the hotel and he's napping, right? And she gets him up, you know, and then he runs the thing and comes back, and she'd fallen asleep working, and she's like, I wasn't sleeping, I was, you know, and he goes, what's the difference? He goes, I took a nap and I enjoyed it. Yeah. Enjoyed my time. He said, your body needed a nap, but you have all the guilt. Yeah, because you feel bad that you weren't working. Yeah. And he's like, we did the same thing. Yep. But I enjoyed my time. It's the perspective. Yeah. And I was like, whoa. Like, I was like, is this Amazon program so deep? You know? You know, it's kind of like a cheesy teen drama or adult drama, but I was like, it's so great. You know, because again, you would, from an outsider's perspective, you would look at this guy who's just in this tiny town, but he had chosen this. Yep. You know, I mean, not totally, like it had been chosen a little bit. He got hurt. It into something. He turned it into something where he is enjoying his life. Yeah. You know. And I love those kind of moments because to me that is life. Where maybe it wasn't the plan, kind of like we talked about, and you learn something from it. Right. And then I think it's just a good reminder for people that I think people have more choices than they think they have. Right. Because we're trying to stay in this box or follow the script or, you know, live this narrative, we see our choices as extremely limited. Right. And I think even if it's as small as like, I'm just not going to take this call or I'm just not going to answer this email, like those are still choices. I'm going to get up from my desk and take a walk really quick or like drink some water. Yeah. I think we forget we have more autonomy and agency. Than we really do. Or we think I do feel like we are stuck in a system that makes us believe that we have to be 24/7 productive. And if we take those moments for ourselves, which is again, we've always proven time and again that actually taking rest breaks or getting up and doing it makes you more productive. It works out in the long run. Right. Yeah. So, but I keep getting, and so it is interesting because again, from a PT perspective, that's why a lot of the times I'm always like, watch the overtraining, you know, I feel like that I do get told I'm a broken record sometimes of being like, you're doing too much, you know, and I'm not trying to hold people back from their dreams. I'm just trying to give them longevity. Sustainability. That's how I think about it a lot too, is like the way you're doing it is also gonna work, just maybe in a less sustainable way. Yeah, like just for a shorter period of time. Right. So how can we explore just some slight changes to create a longer, more sustainable option? Right. And I get it. I mean, I work with a lot of people in high pressure environments, high performance rated environments where it really is like fight or flight all the time. And that's a very real thing. And I'm not going to minimize that. And I think at the same time, though, you can do little things even if you can't change everything, right? Like again, call that friend, say hi to that person, or maybe just take a break and don't talk to anybody, like decompress, play with your dog or play with your cat, right? Like just be present in something. And I think it's helpful to remind people of like, you can find a little something that's yours. And again, I also feel like for people that give a little bit of control. Yeah. Because we're in a world where so much crap is happening. Yeah. That is out of our control. 1,000%. But if we can find, you know, because even for me, I'm like, I'm going to take this 5 minutes and I'm going to play with my cat. Yep. And then I'll get back to you. Absolutely. And find that little 5 minutes of joy. Yeah. So to find some control with that. Yeah. I love that. So I'm trying, I feel like I've grilled you on many, many things. It's been great. I love it. Do you have any final, I mean, again, I feel like you've given some really good gems on things. And I know we kind of I work in a world where I don't take insurance, but mostly mine was because I spent more time fighting with insurance companies than I got to do with treating patients. And it was a whole long story, but, for people like out there, again, who are trying, I think again, just maybe finding a connection or looking to like, let's get some control back. Any final words or anything else that you would like to add, or probably just reiterating, well, kind of saying the same thing, maybe in different verbiage. I think it's a good reminder that you can't control your feelings. You can only control your behavior. And one of the things I love that you brought up Inside Out, because I use it all the time in session, is it's teaching us that like we all kind of have that control panel in our brain and all of our feelings serve a function. Right. Right. Like every feeling has a value and a space, even if we want to ignore sadness and just have joy, they all are there for a reason. Right. And kind of speaking of the control aspect is
I see people expel so much energy trying to control the feelings when all you can control is what you do with the feelings. So I guess I'd want to end on like, I think part of the self-care is like, let your body be a body. Like it's communicating to you all the time, and it's actually really perfectly designed.
Right.
But we've decided that we can like force this round peg in a square, hole if we try hard enough. And the reality is like, that's a lot of energy expelled for something that you really can't even do.
Right.
So as much as it sucks to be sad, if you let sadness push the button and have her moment, the other feelings are going to show up too. And you can choose what to do when you feel sad.
Right.
But unfortunately, you can't control when you feel sad.
I have to actually say, I didn't see the second one, but I feel like
you gotta see the second one.
The first one was so well done.
Yes.
That sometimes I'm always scared to see the sequel because I'm
no,
like, what if it's not as
I
good?
felt the same too. And it is fantastic.
Okay. So
it introduces anxiety.
Okay. Well, yeah, then maybe I got to confront my own things and handle that. But again, I do feel like even for physical therapy, I tell patients, I'm like, it's okay to be mad.
Yes.
It's okay to be mad that you got hurt.
Absolutely.
Like
part of the healing process.
I don't expect you to show up and then be like perfectly fine with it.
And that's beautiful. And I really think we're saying the same thing.
Right.
And what an expel of energy to try to control the anger, it's probably taking away from the work they're trying to do with you.
Right. But then I'm like, okay, now you're mad.
Yeah.
Now what are we gonna do about it?
Exactly. Now we can actually do something.
Yeah.
Because we're being honest.
Talk about your things. Tell me how sad you are that happened to you. Tell me what, like now there's going to be anxiety.
Yeah.
When you go back to the activity maybe that you got hurt in. Right.
Yeah.
Let's address that so we can actually do the work.
Yeah. It's so funny. It's like I have a patient and he's so profound in some of the things he said. And he was making a statement about how like he always feels as though he's swimming against the current.
Okay.
And I said to him, like, I honor, like, that's really your experience. And what I want to also like supportively challenge you is like, how deep is the water? And we kind of went with the metaphor and he's like, it's actually not that deep. And I was like, so what if you just stood up? And it was like, I guess I could. I feel like instead of fighting the current or trying to convince yourself the current isn't there, or trying to convince yourself you're strong enough to swim against the current, like, what if you just stood up?
Right.
And he was just like, mind blowing. And I think the underlying conversation was just like, I'm not going to say it's not hard. Like you have, again, a lot going on. Like the current is real. I am not going to invalidate what you are pushing against. Like that is really happening.
Right.
I just want to offer you this alternate perspective that you probably have a different way to interact with it than the way you've been interacting with it because it's been exhausting.
Right.
So like, let's learn to stand and let's see what other options you have.
Right.
We can't really do that until we just acknowledge like, this is the thing.
It's so funny because when you say that, I picture like, because there's that one that like, they're like drowning and they're like, put your feet down and you're like, oh,
exactly.
My bad. Like.
Yeah, but if you can't admit, like maybe I'm scared or I'm panicked or I'm anxious, you're expelling all the energy to not be anxious.
Right. But
it's
then
like,
you're
you already are
like treading water and trying to just survive.
Correct. Yeah. So let's do something else.
Right. Yeah. I think again, sometimes we are so ingrained that it has to be this way.
I agree.
And it is scary. It is scary to like try another pathway. But if you don't, you're always just this. Right.
Yeah. And I think it's okay to be scared.
Yeah.
That might be like the one little thing I would add is I think a lot of people, again, in the same sort of like productivity driven capitalist society, I shouldn't be scared.
Right.
And the reality is like, so be scared and still do it.
Yeah.
Like honor the fear.
Right.
And try it out.
Right. And you'll see. So I like that. Well, I appreciate all the gems and everything. And even you just taking the time to,
absolutely.
I feel like this is important because just so much of what I see I feel like so many people are battling under this constant stress.
Agreed.
And just even if they don't realize how much they feel from the outside world.
Yes.
And again, obviously most people seeing me are like, well, because something has happened and they're stressed out about that too.
Yeah.
But so I think it was good to have us take this pause break.
Yes,
to
yes.
to talk about things and the importance of self-care in another way.
I totally agree. And even as I was like, building my calendar for the day, like this day ended up being kind of a self-care day for me. And
good. Okay.
I was able to see someone for coffee before I came here. And I had a wonderful networking connection conversation earlier this morning. And my day just kind of felt like that. And I could feel some pressure of like, oh my gosh, I didn't schedule any patients. I have these 3 things that are really for me. And it was this great moment of like, that has value.
Right.
I don't need to add any more patients today.
Right. You're like, do I have to be productive? What do I have to do to like promote the thing?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think I'm walking away with like, I don't know what could be more productive than how I spent today so far. Yeah.
Well, perfect. Well, I appreciate you spending the time with me today.
Thank you for having me. I loved it. It was great.
And again, look for her stuff. And again, if you do want a safe place to connect, she does offer a lot of options, insurance, non-insurance, many providers.
Yeah, reduced cash, lots of different therapists.
Yeah, in-person Zoom. So again, I love that there's a lot of ways for people to connect and find you. So
yes, absolutely. We have worked really hard to make it as accessible as possible. And to hopefully, between all of us and all of our consultation, like we have a lot of training and expertise, and we're excited to work with a lot of different people.
Awesome. So thank you again. And we're going to go ahead and sign on off. Thank you for listening to today's episode. As always, whether we're listening to someone share their expertise in treating an area or just sharing their patient experience, we have also listed any of the resources or how to get hold of the practitioners on the resource page of the website for betterfittherapy.com. Always follow us on social medias, Instagrams, Facebooks for more information. Feel free to reach out or message if you would like to contact or you have additional questions in an area. And again, thank you for listening. We hope that you gained something from today's episode, and we'll see you next time.